Yes, everybody. I'm Sophia Lucia Parola with Garden State Film Festival. This year is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival. We are back in Asbury Park, New Jersey and Cranford, New Jersey. We have an amazing lineup this year, over 200 films coming from 14 different countries, all different types of films, genres. We got features, shorts, pilots, animations, music videos. It's really awesome. This lineup is amazing. And no surprise that one of the features, Faceless After Dark, is nominated for a couple best. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But basically, this feature is awesome. And I am here with the co-writer, producer, lead, and stunt performer of Faceless After Dark, Jenna Cannell. Jenna, hello.
Hi. Hello. Thank you so
How,
much for having the film and having me on here and nominating us for things.
a pleasure. I'll say you're welcome, even though I had probably nothing. I really had nothing to do with any of them, but I am honored to
I
be
don't know the
able.
difference.
I'm so honored to have you here today and interview you. And I'm a new big fan of yours, so I'm really
Thank
excited to talk to you
you.
about this film. And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. So before we get into it, can you tell us a little bit about you and about Faceless After Dark?
Sure. I don't even know where to start. In terms of Faceless and kind of how it came to be, Raymond Wood, the director, approached my writing partner and I, Todd Jacobs, years ago because we filmed this 2 years ago, and the financier at the time said like that he wanted to make a clown movie basically. And if you know anything about my prior work, you know that I'm in Terrifier. I'm the main character in the original film, and so my first reaction was another clown movie. We're doing another one, really. And so Todd and I decided we wanted to try to find a way to write one that was subversive of the genre and was more took a different approach to it, and that's how we attacked and decided to kind of use fictionalized versions of aspects of that sort of world and try to play with it. And my favorite thing about it is that it's sort of this like taxi driver-esque arc, sort of a
Mhm.
Joker sort of thing, King of Comedy, where you're with the protagonist and you essentially watch them become the antagonist. And
Yes.
that's something that we haven't seen a lot of female presenting protagonists do, and so that was a fun challenge.
So fun. This whole film is just so fun, and I was like so inspired and empowered watching it, which I don't know if
Hell
that's a good
yeah,
thing, but like
that's
I love that.
amazing.
Um, definitely have more questions just from what you just said. But first, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, and without giving anything away, what is Faceless After Dark about?
It's yeah, I will try not to give anything away because I
Right.
do think it's, I mean, I think it's more fun if you go in at least somewhat blind.
I
But
think so too.
okay, good. Endorsement, fantastic. The spoiler less version of what it's about is it's an actor who's kind of struggling to find their way after finding success in a cult classic horror film, and one of their fans breaks into their home, and
Hmm.
the rest is
Ellipses. Dot dot dot.
ellipses. Yeah, thank you. Exactly.
Love it. Thank you for the teaser. Already on the edge of our seats, and you have to watch it at Garden State Film Festival to see this. Um,
Yes.
so Jenna, Raymond kind of approached you and said, "I want to direct this." What does that look like collaborating with Todd? Like, how did you guys even come up with this storyline? And what did that collaboration look like writing it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Todd and I had written a number of things together prior and made a couple things together prior. And so there was a lot of back and forth. We have very different approaches. My approach is very like outlines and notes and Google Docs out the butt. And Todd is more focused on themes and dialogue. And you kind of need all of those elements in order to write a story. And so we kind of watched various films that we wanted to pay homage to or to be inspired by. And something that I like to do when I write in general is to try to see what's missing from what already exists within the genre, and what would I like to see, and what would I think would be fun to see
Mhm.
in on film, and what sort of ride would I want to go on, and and looking for places of catharsis and about frustrations of the industry in general and of parasocial relationships, and exploring themes, but it all starts with themes, and then we springboard from there.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I can't even imagine what that looks like, but it sounds fun and challenging and inspiring and all the good stuff. In it, you play Bowie in this,
Yes.
our lead, who's just phenomenal. And
Thank
in your
you.
background, you're in Terrifier, you're in
Yes.
Renfield, you're in
Yes.
WandaVision. You have lots of amazing credits. Have you ever played a character like this before?
No, first of all, thank you. And
Yeah.
no, no, I haven't at all. I mean, and that was part of, part of it was that I knew that I would be have the privilege of acting in it as well and stunt performing in it as well. And so that makes it more challenging when you're also writing, because you don't want it to be a vanity piece. You don't want it to be something that just makes you look cool. You want this human to be real and vulnerable and deeply flawed, which obviously Bowie is. But I've never played someone that I'm starting to play more villains now that since I've had a shaved head, but Bowie's probably because I used to have like big curly hair, and so now it's
I'm
changing
sorry to
towards
laugh, but like it's just so accurate of the industry, right? Like it totally changes your look about,
oh
and
yeah,
yeah, makes total sense.
yeah. They're like, "Congrats, you're this now." I'm like,
Yeah.
am I?" Like I had someone tell me, like, "It's so nice to see you coming into your own." I was like, "It's a haircut. The rest of me
Yeah.
is the same." I'm so confused.
Finally,
Anyway,
you're
so
putting yourself on film, playing the villains. No, that's
yeah, well, and it was interesting to like examine that, because then it's the sort of thing of how do we perceive ourselves, how do we perceive other
yeah,
people versus how we want to be, and then how does that inform our relationships and our work lives, and
yeah,
and also like the dynamics online of, something I wanted to lean into as well is like, we're meant to be eating berries in a cave. We're not really meant to know about like ongoing atrocities all over the world constantly through,
mhm,
a computer in our pocket. And while in a lot of ways it's amazing that we have that because it fosters community where there maybe wasn't before, at the same time it's a lot for our brains, and I don't think
yeah,
we've quite evolved to be able to handle it. And what does that do to a brain that's not stable to begin with? And that was something I wanted to explore as both a excuse me, forgot how to breathe. That's fine. As both a writer and an actor, that was something that I wanted to explore. And so my theory is that I think most of us, I think, are closer to snapping than we would like to admit. And I think we see that you know, in humanity a lot. And so but I haven't gotten to play someone before who fully snaps in front of you and alongside you. And so that was it forces you to deal with your own shadow aspects,
yeah.
but it was also very freeing in some ways.
I mean, you just said it. I really wanted to ask you, and let me go into this real quick. You are nominated for Best Actress in a
Thank you.
feature. No surprise there.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
rooting for you. What was it like playing Bowie? I mean, you just said it was freeing. It looked so exhilarating and so fun and just so empowering. Like, was it like that? Was it challenging? What was the experience like for you?
Thank you. I'm really happy that all that comes across, because
Uh-huh.
it should be like, it's supposed to be cathartic and fun for the audience as
Yeah.
well, and you're also supposed to be questioning, kind of like what you were just doing, Sophia. Like, I
Why do I like this
should
character?
am I still, yeah, exactly, like
Right.
I'm rooting for this person, and then suddenly it's supposed to become more and more morally ambiguous as to whether or not you still should be, and whether or not, actions that might have been justified at the beginning become less and less justified
Mhm.
as they go along, and as Bowie becomes cockier and like more unhinged. And so it
Mhm.
was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm very lucky in that, Ray as a director, not all, directors to varying degrees will sometimes be really married to the script, or will give you opportunity to find things and create things. And Ray is very it's really important for him as a filmmaker to uh, provide a sense of autonomy to everyone on set, and that was
Mm.
really felt. Like, our crew was one of the most inclusive indie sets I've ever been on, across the board, in terms of like intersectionality, and that was so cool to
Okay.
see. And it really felt like everyone was invested and involved, and like had a sense of ownership over this thing, and that it made it so much easier to play as an artist. And I think it just makes it more fun for everyone, and it hopefully comes across as well. But there were times when I was like, there's well there's one scene in particular, and you're going to know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to give too much away, but the one long unbroken shot at the very end, where
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
so that one fun little tidbit. Um, that scene was the we actually filmed that last, and everyone else was wrapping out of the house, and that was one scene where Ray set up the lights, set up the camera, because we had to be out of the location, and everyone else was upstairs, wrapping out, and he hit record on the camera and then left me in the room alone, and that's what happened, and it's the only take we got. So
Love it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was fun, and it was there were a lot of different sort of elements at play, because most of it that was not the case. Most of it it's you're in a room with a bunch of other people kind of finding it, but safety was also super important. Brent Bernhard, our stunt coordinator, was very big on making sure everyone felt very safe the whole time, and that was that's something that's so important in at every budget level and so easy to do. And so it was just a very collaborative environment, even when I was doing
Mm.
just absolutely wrecking chaos.
Yeah, and such a it sounds like an environment that you were able to just be unhinged and let it all go, and what better
Yeah,
place to do that without any judgment.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But within like a sense of respect. Like
yeah,
I'm by no means a method actor, and I believe it's very rarely justified to be that way. Like it's still important that I was able to turn it off at the end and to
yeah.
like take directions and find the magic. And I think everyone, kind of like I was saying, was doing the same thing of like in the dance scene closer to the beginning. The DP was like, I was doing all this crazy dance stuff, and then the DP was doing lens whacking, which I had never seen before, which is apparently when you unhook the lens from the body of the camera and you move it
What?
around in front of the sensor.
Oh my
Yeah, which
gosh.
isn't that wild? Which created some of that like sort of trippier imagery. And so it's just that sort of thing where everyone's throwing in ideas. Like Aaron Day, our production designer, did an amazing job. I mean, it was yeah, it was all very it's cool to see all the pieces come together.
Oh my God. Thank you for sharing all this too, because I know Raymond can't be here, but you talked a little bit about his directing style and what was important when directing this and all these other
Yeah.
elements that I love. So it's so great talking to you. Thank you. And I definitely want to talk about more of this, the cast and crew. Danny Kang was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a feature. Shout
Yay!
out to Danny.
I
Talk
love
to me
that
about,
for him.
yes, please talk to me about how you found Danny and Daniel Lynn was phenomenal. I mean, the cast in this is great. And the crew, like whoever, the lighting, the editor, like
Yeah.
the DP. Okay, I know we don't have that much time, but quickly how you found this cast and
I'm
crew.
just gonna read the IMDb page to
Right?
you. And I do recommend looking up everybody, because like you
Please do,
said,
yeah.
it's like there's so many elements
So
at play, and
talented.
it really takes a village. Like I wish there was a less contrived way to say that, but it's so true. Yeah, so casting is actually one of the ways in which I had sort of a bigger hand in all of this, because after I handed off the script as a writer, it was really important to me to focus on the acting side of it. And obviously I wanted to trust Ray's vision, and that sort of hierarchy on set is so important, of like, keeping everything streamlined. And I wanted to very much be able to focus on the acting sort of lane. But one thing I did do in terms of producing, because I didn't really do as much of the logistical stuff to kind of, not spread too thin, was most of the casting were people that I sent to Ray, and I would like make little Google Docs of Google Docs better like give me a check after all this hyping I'm doing of them, but I like would write up headshots, and this is how I know them, this is how I know their work, because like Danielle Lynn, for example, I've worked with her a couple times. We actually used to date in real life, but we're still friends. But like, so I knew we were going to have chemistry, which, is really important, because that's always
Mhm.
cringy when that's not the case. And it was really important to me that that character was actually a queer person
Mhm.
in real life, playing that character. And I know that that was important to Ray as well. And we wanted in her character to kind of reflect this thing of, she's very, in real life, she's very, very high femme. And so she gets cast a certain way that isn't necessarily in line with who she is. And how do I remember Kristen Stewart talking about how someone once said to her, if you want to be in Marvel, like you can't come out. And so like, what does
Mhm.
it look like for a character like that, who's having to navigate both of those worlds? And then and she's super talented. And then Danny Kang is also unbelievably talented. I met him through a film that I directed years ago called Max and the Monster, a short film. And I found him through the callback process and just have since wanted to like put him in all sorts of things because he's just very like soft and sweet. And I think we need more examples of soft men on screen to hopefully reflect that into the world a little bit. And yeah, and I like basically everyone involved were actors that I had somehow worked with before and knew were really good because there wasn't really an audition process and we didn't really have the time or the money. And so it ended up coming together really well, I think. And we wanted it to have this sort of feeling of like, you know, there's a line that Bowie says, which I did not write. This is an African proverb, but like the child not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And ultimately that's the theme, right?
I'm like, what? How come I never heard that? I love that.
I hadn't before either. I don't know how I found it, but it's beautiful.
Thank you. And I have African ancestry. My mom was born in Africa. I'm upset at myself, but thank you for
amazing. Well, getting out of your mom, be like, Mom, listen.
Yeah,
we have something to talk about. Why didn't you tell me? She's like, I told you all these other proverbs. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful one, and it's so true. And so I wanted it to feel this, you know, in the story, it's supposed to feel like, you know, what happens to someone who's maybe not mentally stable to begin with when they feel unseen by all of the people closest to them. But then at the same time, none of those people are villains. Like they're also supposed to be, you know, everyone's just trying to, and this is true for anyone trying to survive under capitalism. Like it is hard. Sometimes you're just, all you can focus on is trying to make your own way and trying to like survive and make it to the next step. And it doesn't cultivate a community environment naturally. And so we wanted people that felt like you don't feel like they're antagonists. Like they still do love her and care for her. They just don't necessarily know what she's going through or how best to show up, or the fact that she feels unseen because it's so hard to ask for help when you need it.
Jenna, I'm loving talking to you. Honestly, we're already over time, and I'm really upset.
Oh, no.
I talked to you all day, and please, like we said earlier, look up this IMDb to see all these the amazing cast and the amazing crew. I mean, all the elements of this. Everyone's just super talented. Congratulations! Shout out to everybody involved. I love how I mean, this is like this thriller, horror, revenge film, femme fatale. It's just so many things, but. And you're saying the reasoning behind all this, but what are your hopes for people watching Faceless After Dark? I mean, it seems like obviously you're mentioning a lot of it in the interview that this has it's such a bigger meaning, you know, than what's on the surface level. But what are your hopes for this film?
Yeah, I mean, all of that, certainly everything we've been talking about, but then I also want people to not be afraid to laugh. There are parts of it that are dark comedy, but they're supposed to be funny. And people should not be afraid to laugh because there are parts where you are absolutely supposed to.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. And is there more? There more? Is there a sequel that we see? Because I feel like there could be.
We have ideas. So, you know, if there's demand, who's to say?
Well, Garden State Film Festival, you know, producers, directors, distributors, hopefully they'll be there. Come watch Faceless After Dark. Let me tell you how you can see it. It'll be screening Saturday, March 23rd, 9 p.m. to 11:15 p.m. in Asbury Lanes. Last year, I think this is the same film block I saw Terrifier 2 in. It is the best.
That's so funny.
Block and the best place to watch a film.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Jenna, will you be gracing us with your presence at the Garden State Film Festival at all, or anybody else?
I hope so. I'm not. I might not be able to because of my filming schedule with some other stuff I'm making. But obviously, if there's any way I can, I will do my best to make it happen because it sounds like a blast.
You're killing it. Can't wait to see more work. I hope you continue to submit to Garden State Film Festival with the future endeavors. Again, congratulations to you and everyone involved, and especially congratulations on your nomination to you and Danny. And thank you again for taking the time out to talk to us.
Thank you so much, Sophia. You're so wonderful and beautiful, and I appreciate all of your work.
You too. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm honored. Honored to hear you say that. Everyone get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. Come check out Faceless After Dark. Jenna, congratulations and thank you again. And hopefully I'll see you again sometime.
Thank you so much. I hope so.
Bye.